Why has it been hard for you?
I'm just used to having friends that are just my friends. I have to toe the line of like still being the most mature one in the group.
When I think about it, you're the pastor. When you're the pastor,
Your space is kind of limited.
at the end of the day, we're still human beings. You got to remember everybody else is human, but everybody forgets that you're human.
In the beginning, I was everything that you weren't for the church.
You kept saying like, I'm not just the pastor's wife.
I don't want to really be in the spotlight, but I need people to understand that I'm already solid. Like
Right,
I'm
right,
already
yeah.
a solid individual. I'm good.
When people get a view, they stick to that view. I want people to know like, yeah, she's my wife, but she's dope in her own right. What's going on, family? This is Jay.
And this is Tay.
And you're now listening to another episode of the Unscripted Journey podcast. Listen, family, we made it.
We are back.
We are back.
Okay.
This is season 2, back
Dose.
better than ever.
Yes.
And so listen, we want to get into it hot and heavy. So the first topic today is we're going to talk about is how to manage marriage in a spotlight. We're not saying that we are superstars, nor celebrities, nor mega people. We're just saying this is something that we've had to experience and we're experiencing.
Yeah, this was a plot twist
Yeah.
in our marriage.
Yeah. So moving from Virginia to where we are now in Sacramento, California, doing ministry and different things, we have found ourselves in the spotlight, knowing more people knowing us than we know them. And it's something that we've had to manage in our marriage and in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about it. We want to talk through it, and we want to share it with you all. So listen, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay, so when I think about marriage in a spotlight, like a few things just instantly pop into mind.
Come on.
And one of those things is knowing what to protect,
Come on.
right?
Yeah.
So we have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And we have a family. So it's just kind of like trying to, as we were navigating this space and as we are navigating this space, trying to figure out what is private and what
Right.
is for public consumption, right? Because I feel like sometimes people think everything's for public consumption.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I got to have some boundaries,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to my kids and especially when it comes to me and your private life.
Right,
like,
right.
you know, there is time for ministry and time for us to be in that space, but there's also time for us to have a private space because contrary to popular belief, I mean, although I feel like you talk about it enough,
Right.
we are not perfect
Right.
and our marriage is not perfect.
Exactly.
So there are times when some things are just best left out of the spotlight so that we can navigate them and steward them properly ourselves.
Most definitely.
When it comes to me and you and when it comes to the kids. And I'll be first to say I'm super protective over the kids. So
Right.
I don't really like them to be ostracized or even kind of like you to pass the kids, so this and this, or you to
Right.
pass the kids, so that and that.
Right.
Because they're human just like us and they go through things just like us. And I'm an introvert type of person. And so
Right.
some of our kids are introvert
Right.
type of people. And so they don't always enjoy being the center of attention.
No, exactly. I think it's very important, and it's something that we're navigating and learning how to navigate, right?
Yeah.
Is protecting them because not only protecting our stuff's sake, protecting, but also protecting them.
Right.
Because there's some things that we don't want them to be exposed to too early.
Yeah.
Right? There's some things that we want to make sure that they can, how can I say it? We want to protect their innocence.
Yeah.
Right? As kids, because we know sometimes, people and people's opinions can leak out.
Yeah.
Right? And then it can stir up some things in them, build some things in them, some callous and different outlooks that we don't want them to have.
Right.
And so I think that it's very important to protect them. Right. That's why certain things I do or places I go, I don't take the girls. Right.
Yeah.
Because I want them to be protected, but not only just protected, I want them to live their life and to be able to establish their own outlook of life.
Right.
And the outlook of people.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important because, our kids, especially our youngest one, this is all she knows is what we do now, right? Is ministry, because since she was born, we've been doing this, right? I've literally been pastoring. She's 13. I've been pastoring for 13 years.
Yeah.
So this is all she knows.
Right.
Yeah.
And also giving them a space to just be a kid.
Right. Exactly.
I don't want them to be growing up where it's like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Yeah. Like, I want them to be able to experience being a kid just like everybody else, because I'm a mom just like everybody else. And so at some points, you know, sometimes kids got to put their hand on the fire to get burned. Right. And of course, I'm going to make every effort to, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you shouldn't do that. Right. But me saying it and then some outsiders saying it is a totally different thing, you know? Yeah. So yeah, even protecting that space. So yeah, so just, I think it's been a journey trying to navigate what to keep private and what's for public consumption when it comes to our family. So that's been something that that rings and glares in my thoughts when I think about this topic.
Especially because people have this opinion of how people should be. Right. And they have these unreachable, unobtainable expectations. Right. And so sometimes, and not just for our kids, but even for us, right? Yeah. Our marriage, like, you know, shoot, we've argued all the way to church. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just to give context, we're not perfect, right? And so some things, you know, you do want to still keep some things private that is not, everybody doesn't know everything.
Right. Because everybody can't handle everything. I think that's kind of just the bottom line.
That's the piece right there.
Yeah, that's just kind of the bottom line. Yeah. And I say that to everybody, right? Like even to myself. Some things I just can't handle. Yeah. I mean, even, you know, just being a person looking at celebrities on TV. Yeah. Some things I don't have any context to besides what
they show,
the little clip that they show. Exactly. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm basing my little opinion on that. So I really can't handle it because I don't know.
I don't know. You know? I don't have the full context.
Yeah. So I think that's important to make note of, that we all kind of fall into that trap. Yeah. So that's expected. So it's important to try to home things in.
No, it is. And I think what's so important about that, so a lesson I had to learn very early in ministry, that you didn't really like everyone in our house. Right. That you were like, hey, this is my house. This is my place of peace. Like, you know, and having all these people come in and you know, and sometimes just dropping by.
Baby, like, I was like,
and I had to understand and get it, especially now where we're at now, the demand that we have on us with our whole life, with you know, with your career, with ministry, with our kids. I really could understand what you were saying back then, because now when I get to our house, right, like it's right, it's that place where, like, man, I can come here. And it's a place of peace, you know, it's my escape place. Right. That's why, like, you know, I've been so, you know, so heavy bent on making sure this space is our oasis, right? Like certain things we put in here, whether it's furniture, whether it's our backyard, so that it's a place that if I don't have to leave, I ain't got to leave because I got everything I need right here, because I really have embraced that this is my place, my residence, my oasis, my peace. And so so that's one lesson I've learned in protecting that, right? And understanding how to make those healthy boundaries, right? To say, hey, you know, everybody, like you said, everybody can't handle my personal space. Everybody can't handle me letting my hair down, right? Things of that nature. So
yeah. So I think that's good. Okay, so another thing that's coming to mind when I think about our marriage kind of being in the spotlight is that emotional security portion.
I want to hear about that.
I know, right? So like just having that emotional security, because I feel like, so, you know, you were in a church and you have all these people, but just really kind of having a discernment of who are like my people, right? Who are my friends, who are the people that I come to church with, that I serve, and then who are like the closest friends. Like that has been really hard to navigate, right? I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah. And I think it's very important that I have friends outside of the church as well, just give a good balance, which I do. Shout out to my bestie and her husband, because they made this for us and it's beautiful. But yeah, and so I think that's been something to navigate. Just trying to find that fine line and that balance of like who to really let in and who to kind of like, okay, I don't have to let everybody in, or, you know, or even, I will even say this for me, not that I don't have to let everybody in, because I'm not really that type of person like, hey, cuz, come on in. Like, but more so of like, I can let some people in, you know? So just kind of being open to that and being able to find out how to be emotionally secure in all the spaces, right? Have that emotional safety in all the spaces, whether they're my close friends, whether they're, whether I'm serving them in ministry or whatever that looks like. So that has been kind of hard for me, but I think I'm getting better at it.
Yeah,
day in and day out.
I want to expound on that. Why has it been hard for you?
I think it's been hard for me because I'm just used to having friends that are just my friends. I feel like with our position, I have to toe the line of like still being the most mature one in the group. And still being the most spiritually wise one in the group, when sometimes I just want to hang out with my friends and just be who I want to be. Right. You know, and not to say that that's always right, but sometimes that's just what I want to do. You know what I mean? I just want to hang out with my friends and be who I want to be. But I found it hard to navigate because I still have to understand that I am still somebody that people are looking up to. Yeah. And I am still somebody who people have expectations. Yeah. And so that has been hard for me to navigate that arena. Oh yeah. Especially when you haven't, I didn't grow up having to navigate that arena now. Right. You know, I think about my kids, they probably will be whizzes at this by the time they get my age, or, you know, even in their 20s or something. But for me, I never had to navigate that. So with my friends, I could just always be who I wanted to be. And if I wanted to be encouraging, I was encouraging. Right. If I wanted to be just whatever, I could be that. And somebody else, hey, it's your turn to be encouraging today. Right. You know what I mean? It's your turn to pick me up. So I feel like in these areas, most times I'm looked at as the one who's got the answer. No,
I got you. I think that, you know, when you talk about how to maintain emotional safety, right? I want to, you know, make sure that I'm hearing, like, when you say like how you feel, your feelings, your emotions, and how to still be able to get it out in a safe place around safe people.
Right. Yeah. Just and just to be kind of like a person, like you're saying, just to be emotionally vulnerable and emotionally free around people. Yeah. How far can I go with certain people, and how far, or how? Okay, it's time to cut it off here. This is as far as you can go. Right. With the understanding of my audience, right? Yeah. And so
it's for me a space that I've really had to navigate, right? Because when I think about it, you're the pastor, and so when you're the pastor,
your space is kind of limited. Like your space, I think about my space is like this. Your space is like this.
Yeah, so for those who are just listening, she put her fingers together, and you know, so basically
very slim,
like
right? A needle.
Yeah, and so what I've had to learn is who are those people that I have. You know, I have different groups, right? I have a group of people, pastors who I can talk to, who get it, who navigate the same space. And then I have a group that they just my dudes, right? Yeah. They just my guys. And most of them are not even local. Yeah. Right. Shout out to my childhood friend, like since like the second grade, right? Shout out to so I'm gonna say Byron Wolf, right? My boy Nate Butler, and then my boy Rondell Davis, right? Who's actually a pastor, but that's my guy, right? Yeah. Those are like three people that are not in our, they don't live with us, that they're not local. And those are guys that we can, I can call on and just be me, right? Yeah. Just be like, they don't say pastor. They call me by, a name that, they've known before I got to this spot, right? And I can be me. I can talk about my marriage. I can talk about being a father. I can talk about being all of those things, right? I can talk about it and there is no judgment, right? Because at the end of the day, we're still human beings. Yeah. And I think sometimes that's the hard struggle, is because you got to remember everybody else is human, but everybody forgets that you're human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that sometimes is a hard place that I've had to navigate.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying me, I'm not speaking for you. Right.
Right.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure the same thing for you. But I've had to navigate is still saying, man, I'm human.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, like you can say how you want to say, and it don't be seasoned with no love, no grace. And I got to just be able to say, okay, and can't be mad about it or can't feel a way about it. Right.
Yeah. But I think that's key, right? Because I feel like if you find yourself in those spaces where you kind of got to be like that.
Yeah.
Those probably aren't your inner circle places.
Right, yeah.
Right, because there probably is a lack of understanding,
right.
which is no biggie, but it probably is like, okay, this may be my servant space.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is my servant space because there's a lack of understanding of that. And that's okay. But now I kind of know.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, like, oftentimes, like for me, I'm a big fan of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, right?
Yeah, you are.
And I watch him, and I often sit and I look at different videos that he posts, and I'm just like, I feel sad for him at times.
Okay.
And the reason why is because your life is now public.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, no matter where you go, everybody wants a piece of you.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants, I'm like, golly, and then if you don't want to be around people, if you just want a private
that's
moment,
a problem too.
Then now it's a problem, right? Now it's you're a butthole and things, and they just like, dude, I just want to have a space, you don't know what my day was like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could have had a rough day. I just want to be, and so at times, that's a thing I've had to navigate, right? And that's why I'm grateful for therapy. Shout out to my therapist, right? Shout out to her, like she's the dopest, right? Because I get to open up and say about those things, right? To be emotional healthy, right?
Yeah.
To set those boundaries of what is for public consumption, what piece of me I can keep private, right? And so it is a daily task, right? And I say this to those who are listening and watching it. It's a daily, and there's you have to figure out what's good for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's good. So that's
I feel like that. I feel like that's just something. Those are probably like the two topics that I can think of off the top of my head that like reign high when it comes to kind of being married in a spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think? What is like something when we talk about that comes to mind, top of mind for you?
So one thing that I think about is finding the rhythm.
Okay.
Right? The rhythm and the demand.
Yeah.
Right? I used to say balance, right? We used to say that was something in the very beginning that you would say, "Hey, you got to find balance." And the more and more I looked at what that word meant, right. The more and more I did study and talk.
Can't do it.
Right, like there is no perfect balance because balance is keeping it equal, right? And so I had to understand that it's not a balance thing; it's a rhythm, right? And it's because some things are going to need your attention at a certain season more than other things, right? And so it's being able to know the rhythm and adjust the rhythm, right? And so for me, I say it's huge for me because that was one of the biggest lessons that I'm getting better at. I am a whole lot better than what I used to when I first got there. Because man, it was terrible in our first stint of pastoring, right? It was very terrible, and I say terrible because it was just like, after we left the church, when we, for those of you just not joining, like when we moved, we pastored in Virginia, started a church, and when we moved, when my wife had military orders to California,
right?
We transitioned our church, which is still thriving, still living. Shout out to Refuge Christian Church, Hampton, Virginia. Pastor John Santiago is doing an amazing job.
Yes.
They when we transitioned, it's like everybody in the family. Besides me, like I was sad, and y'all were sad too.
Yeah.
But y'all, like, after clearing the tears, woof.
We is free.
Right? Like, y'all were like, y'all were all saying a collective sign. I'm like, what's going on there? And then y'all were just, at the moment, was like, you did not a good job at making sure that we were taken care of and making sure, like, and I was like, whoa. And so I had to, I made a deal that, hey, the first year, I wouldn't pastor, right?
Yeah.
And I pretty much kept it, kept true to that, right?
Yeah.
I ended up, becoming a staff pastor like a little less than a year, right? But it was like pretty much a year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had to find out, okay, now I have to find a rhythm. And I would say that God was so strategic because he put me on staff, right, at another church, at a larger church. And being on staff, I never forget my first day on staff, I was sad.
Yeah.
Right. I was happy because like, man, like what I knew the Lord was leading us to was full-time ministry. I'm in the role, but I'm missing my daughter's first track meet.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's a freshman. We move into a place where
she don't know
nobody. And this was a tough transition for her. Right. And so track was like that thing that helped her because I never forget the first day of track. She was like, oh my God, I found my people.
Yeah.
And it was like such a relief for us, right? That she finally found her tribe, her people, and now she's starting to feel like she's not a stranger. And so I was like, man, this is her first track meet. And I said something to our director, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, hey man, this ain't that type of job.
Yeah.
Like we promote family here because that time, we're going to get that time.
Right.
Like, we're going to get that time and some.
Yeah.
So like, I need you to go and I need you to go support your child. And for me to call you and be like, hey, I'm on my way. And you like, you leaving? I'm like, yeah, they told me to go. And it was like, at that moment, it was building those blocks. Right. Right. Of maintaining the rhythm. Right. Of knowing when to say no. Right. Right. Of knowing when, okay, I need to put a little bit more here. I can back off of this and put more there. Right. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things. What about you? What have you found? How have you found the rhythm, right, in the demand?
Yeah. So I will say, God has really helped me with the rhythm just by our moves, right?
Yeah.
When we were in Virginia, when we started our own church, your rhythm was horrible. Yeah. Your balance was horrible.
Yeah.
In turn,
was horrible.
Right. In turn, I felt like I was overly consumed also because trying to. In the beginning, I was everything that you weren't for the church, right? So everything non-spiritual, everything admin-wise, I took on that lead on top of our kids being little at that time. They were little at that time. Yeah. And still being an active duty member in the military. Yeah. I was kind of like, okay, this is a lot. But God saw fit and we moved to California and it was like, woof. And it was like you said, for that first year, you didn't do nothing. And I was like, cool, he ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. We just going to church. Yeah. And then even when you became the staff pastor, I still didn't have to do nothing but go to church and get a good word, right? And then when you transitioned to being a senior pastor, it was still kind of like, okay, cool. You came into a space that kind of already had things set up, right? Yeah. People in places and stuff like that. So my role has been able to switch and each step I've been able to kind of get a better rhythm every step of the way. So then my rhythm changed from being church focused to you and kids focused. Yeah. And so now I'm able to kind of just give that time to you and the kids all the time. You know what I mean? And I got a great job that I love. And so but now we have my mom too. So then that was another little piece thrown in there. But I feel like we've kind of navigated that. I've navigated that a little bit better. And in turn, we've all navigated that a little bit better. So yeah, I to be honest, I think my rhythm just came naturally because of the movements that God has put in place for us. And it's been able to give me a breather and a break.
I got you.
Each and every step of the way. So I think that's kind of how my rhythm came about. I didn't kind of be like, you know what, I need to get a rhythm. Right. It was kind of like, oh, okay, we need to give him a rhythm. Yeah. The Lord was like, I need to give him a rhythm, and in turn gave me a rhythm.
No, yeah, most definitely.
So okay. Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to bring up.
Okay.
Is how to bring your spouse into the spotlight.
Okay, so this is I will say this is a very interesting topic. Okay. You know, my body language even changed and things like that. This is okay, I'm gonna indulge me. You go first. So okay. Kind of set the stage for this.
So when we and you probably don't remember saying this, but you said this a lot. And it was for me like, okay, I gotta make space, right, for her.
Yeah.
That because you kept saying like, I'm not just your wife.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not just the pastor's wife. Like, and in all honesty, you're not, right? Like, you're one of the dopest individuals that I know, that I call my best friend, my mate, my love. Like, you know, you're well educated, like you're super creative, like you bring, like, a lot of people don't know, like, a lot of ideas that the Lord gives me. You are one of the ones that help me kind of like put the pieces together. Like, he gives me the pieces. I know what it should look like, and you're kind of the one that helps me put the puzzles together to make it come to a full picture. Like, you do a great job.
Right.
And so I've had to adjust and really understand what that looked like, right? Of bringing you into the space, right? Of when I'm in the space, it's just not, oh yeah, this is my wife. Nah, this is Octavia. She's a realtor, right? She's this, she does this, she does that. So that when you're in that space, that because understanding that I show up in the space for a reason.
Right.
But then my wife also shows up in this space with me for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. There's two different purposes that we serve. Right.
Right.
And so understanding how to bring you along in the spotlight.
Right.
Like, that was an adjustment, because I think I never saw you as just my wife.
Right.
Right. And, but it felt like that's how you felt. Right. As just my wife. Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so I feel like, okay, so this is going to be kind of complex. Right.
Come on.
So I do feel like I felt like I had to say, hey, my name is Octavia, because not necessarily that you saw me as just your wife, but I felt like everybody else saw me as just your wife.
Got you.
And I am an introvert, but I've never been a side character. Mm-hmm. Like, I've always grown up to be kind of like a main character, you know, but a main character who doesn't really want the spotlight.
Right.
But just like a main character, like, she's a very strong character in this role.
Right.
So it's been like a little bit of it's very complex, right? When it comes to
I like that.
Us in that space, right? Because it's like, I have always been that main character energy, not necessarily with us, but in my own right. But I don't want to really be in the spotlight, but I need people to understand that I'm already solid. Like, I'm already a solid individual. There's no need, like, I'm good, right? And so I felt like when things came, like, specifically when it came to the church, it was like, you're solid and you the main character.
Right.
And oh yeah, his wife.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, but people won't, you know, and it's no fault to anybody, because that comes again with that emotional security and that and establishing your group. Because if people who, like my friends who know me for real be like, yeah, she kind of is the, you know, she kind of likes to be out there and abrupt, but she's not the spotlight. So I think it has been hard even for me to navigate, because it's been kind of like, how am I getting lost?
Right.
Like, I am, like you said, like, I feel like, you know, and again, that's just kind of my character, like my personality. I know I'm kind of dope. So I'm like, how am I? How's this happening?
And that's why, because sometimes when people get a view, they stick to that view.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I do what I do when it comes to you.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know, like, yo, like, yeah, she's my wife, but she's dope in her own right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I love going to events that are for you, and I'm just your husband. Yeah. Right? Like, because I love it, because I like to push that, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we are a team. Right? It's not, I am who I am, but like, we're a team. Like I don't think people really understand, especially when you got a duo, like, of what it takes what it takes behind the scenes for us to do what we do. Right. For me to do what I do, there's a lot of stuff that you do behind the scenes. Yeah. Right. So that's why, like, but that don't make you a side, character. That makes, of course.
I think, like I said, I think that it was just hard in the beginning for me to kind of figure that out, because I never had to be in that space. I was like, I've never really been in a space of like, oh yeah, that's his wife. I'm like, what's happening right now? Like, this is weird. Like, I was like, I was really thrown off, and I was just like, okay, we're gonna have to my name is Octavia. Like we gotta switch this because I'm feeling a type of way. And like you said, we're a team. And I've always wanted to make sure that however we accomplish something, we accomplish it. And sometimes it's one person's turn and sometimes it's the next person's turn. But at the end of the day, the goal is for us to accomplish whatever we're set out to try and accomplish or whatever God has set out for us to do. So I think that was very complex for me because I was kind of like, I have always been like solidified on my own. Now, why are people coming along like I'm just somewhere hiding behind him? Like, and it was just funny. And so I was just like, this is weird for me. I'm gonna have to figure this out without it being a burden on you to figure out. You know what I mean? This is my figuring out to do. This is my situation to handle and not it to be a burden on you because you really had nothing to do with it. And again, nobody else people didn't have anything to do with it because people don't necessarily know me. They don't know much about me. And so that was something that I had to kind of figure out in me and get an understanding of like, okay, Tay, like it's all good. Like you got to be solidified in who you are and and all that. And so, but that was a complex space for me and it was very complex for me to just kind of explain that right now. So I hope y'all got my drift.
Yeah, I hope y'all got this, hear it and see it. But no, I like that. So to wrap this up, right? To put a bow on this like we do, what would you say to their marriage, to their relationship, right? That's thrust in a public space, that where people are seeing them, people are noticing who they are, people are, like they serve people, and it could be in ministry, it could be in what they do for their work, whatever, right? How do you navigate that space? What would you say is one thing you say, take this away because this has helped us? What would you say?
I would say you and your partner get together and have some good conversation about how you guys want to navigate things.
I love that.
Because you are about to go into this space. Because most times you kind of know, right? That we're about to enter this space. It may not be as big of a space as it may become, right? But you're about to enter a space where more people are going to have access to you. More people are going to be expecting more from you. So in turn, people are always kind of looking and seeing what's going on. Just have like a real personal conversation with you and your spouse and even your family and say, hey, we're about to move into this space.
Yeah.
What are some boundaries y'all want? Even your kids, what is some things that, you want to keep private? What are some things that you want to share openly? How do we want to necessarily move in this space?
Yeah.
I think having a good understanding of that as a family will go a long way because after you have an understanding with them, everything else is water under the bridge.
Yeah.
No matter what people bring to you or feel like, this should be happening or feel like they should know, as long as y'all have an understanding of what you want to protect and how you want to maneuver around and how to keep your emotional security, everything else that people bring to you is just kind of going to be like, that's cool, but we got to understand it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, family.
What would you say before we end it off? Not that face. What would you say?
I mean, I believe that you really, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like I would say the same thing, right? Just like what you said, right? To make sure at the end of the day, y'all are having that conversation.
Right.
I would even go a step further to always check in with your mate.
Yeah.
Right. Because as you grow together, things change.
Right.
Right. Expectations change, desires change. So always check in with your spouse, right? We've been doing this, like I said, 13 years. Like there's always, I have to check in because as things change, as the demand for me, heightens, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing different things. I'm not just pastoring. I'm in the consulting space, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the counseling space. I'm in the, the one-on-ones building space, right? So now the demand on me is not just on a Sunday and a Wednesday and just taking care of the parishioners that we are assigned to, which is enough within itself. But then now I'm doing other things outside of that, right? That's pulling me. And so now it's, hey, this is what's happening. It's where the Lord is taking me. How are we doing? Right?
Yeah.
Checking in. So that's what I would say. Always check in.
Okay, I think that's good.
Yeah. So, well, family, I hope and I pray that this first episode helped you out a little bit, kind of allow you to see a little bit of our journey and then help you navigate on yours. Because again, this is the unscripted journey. And so listen, as we leave this space, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. I'm going to ask you to like this. I'm going to ask you to share this, and I'm going to ask you to subscribe so that you can keep up with what's going on the Unscripted Journey podcast.
Yeah. And throw some comments in there too.
Throw some comments. If you got some questions, if you got some topics you think we ought to, you want us to see us tackle, let us know. We want to hear from you. All right. Well, family, I'm Jay.
And this is Tay.
And you have just listened to another episode of the Unscripted Journey podcast.
Peace.